Get tickets at BroadwayInChicago.com.
Does your teen suffer from anxiety, stress, and depression? Well, our next guest is a parenting expert who's got a new book, Parenting the New Teen in the Age of Anxiety. He's going to help us all out right now. Please welcome Dr. John Duffy. Hi, Dr. John.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. And this is an important time. An important time for a book like this. I know that you're good friends with the Rancics, so make sure you tell them we said hello. They wrote the foreword in the book.
They did.
And why did you have them do that?
So I met them on the set of another show talking about parenting. Not a great show, but a show. And they were so warm and inviting, and they're smart and funny and insightful. And I've had a chance to work with them, and they're such great parents to Duke that it was kind of a no-brainer to ask them to write it, and I was really grateful that they did.
Right. Now, you say that the world of teens and parents has changed dramatically. How so?
Yeah, so this generation of teens, if you think about it, they're the first ones who've had massive anxiety and depression. Social media has been part of their lives, their entire lives, right? So those likes that we kind of, that affect us a little bit, they affect them a lot. Their self-worth, their self-esteem are so deeply involved in all of that. And there's a whole bunch of other elements, the juuling and the vaping, the PSA that you showed at the front end. So as parents, we're kind of pioneers here because we don't know our kids' world as well as they do, and we're really the first parents ever in that situation.
Yeah. Right, and when we were coming up, it was different. I think there was a lot of parents who were like, hey, toughen up. You know, I had football coaches, toughen up. You couldn't have water.
Right.
It was all about making you mentally stronger, and I think that where's the line like between toughen up and being empathetic?
Yeah, so I think you want to foster resilience in your kid, but kids today have so much on their plate. They're pretty resilient. They're pretty strong. So you don't want to add to their burden with the toughen up thing. They're pretty tough as it is. Their worlds are pretty perilous for them, especially emotionally. So you have to walk that line really, really carefully. And the idea, I always think back to what's the idea behind parenting. It's fostering competence and resilience. And if toughen up is part of that message, fine. But if it's not, then you got to pull it out of the repertoire.
Right. I want to go back to something you just said before you asked that, because you were saying we don't as parents know their world. Our worlds are so different.
Yeah.
How do we get into their world to know what they're going through?
Right. So the best way to do that is ask them. So kids are really, really effective teachers. So if you say, tell me how Snapchat works. I always get a kick out of the fact that parents have no idea. What's Visco? What else is going on? Tell me what vaping is. You know what I mean? Is it pot or is it nicotine? We don't know what we don't know, and there's a lot we don't know. So we can be meta about it and ask the questions, and our kids are pretty good teachers. They'll tell us.
Right. What about those people that say they'll wait for your kids to talk to you? Like, if you pry, they'll shut down. If you ask them questions, they won't offer it up. You kind of have to, like, be strategic on how you get the information out of them.
Yes. So a generation ago, even 10 years ago, we had a wide enough berth where we could wait for that to happen. Now, we have to draw it out of them. We have to start those conversations. And, guys, we have to start them early. When our kids are younger than 12 or 13 or 14, at 7, 8, 9 years old. That's when those conversations have to get started.
Right. What about if you're asking your child questions and your child doesn't want you to know?
Right.
Right? They don't want you to know about Snapchat. That's the whole reason why the thing disappears.
Right, of course.
In 10 seconds.
Exactly.
So how do you respect their privacy but still be in the know?
Yeah, you want to be really meta about that. So
wait, do kids have privacy? I'm hitting the chord now because it is. We've talked about it on this show. Like, if you're under your parents' roof, do you have privacy?
Right. Well, here's the metric for that. It's about safety and wellness. So if you feel like the safety and wellness, emotionally or otherwise, is at risk, then your child has no privacy. All rules, that's all out the door. If, though, they are just posting things online and you know they've proven to you you can trust them and they're in the right lane and they're pretty safe, then you afford them some degree of privacy, because one day they're going to leave the house. We're raising adults, not kids, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what are the signs before maybe a breakdown from a teen?
Yeah. So if you're talking about a real emotional breakdown, you're going to see some really dramatic changes, both behaviorally and in terms of emotion. So you might see that they hang around with a completely different group of people, or they don't hang around with anybody at all. Grades drop through the floor. And
what about, like, maybe always wanting to sleep, not wanting to go anywhere?
There's that kind of lethargy. And emotionally, you might see these massive mood swings that feel way out of proportion to what's going on. So if your child's in that kind of straits, then you need to get them help right away. You know, reach out to a mental health professional that works with teenagers quickly.
Right. What are the 3 most important takeaways for parents?
Right. So the first thing is your kids need to be able to come to you with anything that they're struggling with anytime, and you need to deliver that message to them with abundant clarity, right? The other thing is you need to know something about what's going on in the world of teenagers today. You can't come in with a blank slate and expect that your child is going to inform you. And to your point, there's some things they're going to omit if you leave it to that, right? And finally, your stuff, your fear, your judgment, your ego, there's no place for that in this. Your kid can't handle their anxiety and your anxiety at the same time.
I know you're speaking at a lot of schools. Is there one thing that you seem to see over and over again?
Yeah, I see a disconnect between parents and kids, a massive disconnect where kids feel like my parents just don't get it, and parents feel like, geez, you're just trying to challenge my parenting acumen. And so if we can dispel some of those myths and connect, it's really, really important that we kind of collaborate our way through adolescence with them.
Very good advice.
Well, you have a teen. I'm going to give you this book.
Yeah. No, you know what? I mean, you're some good advice, and some I already practice, you know, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes. Be sure to pick up a copy of the book, Parenting the New Teen in the Age of Anxiety, and Dr. Duffy will be at Lyons Township High School tonight at 7 o'clock. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right, coming up, everyone's buzzing about the Downton Abbey movie. Richard Roper will tell us if it's worth your royal money. And we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Blake Alexander has a live performance in Espanol. We'll be back.
Today, for an emergency